So everybody's in here for biochem, right? Okay. Darn. I thought I'd be able to fake you guys out. So anyway, before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know we're in supply chain logistics, right? Been doing it myself for over 50 years, 40 of that, 45 of it actually now professionally. Um, and if you don't think that you can have a lucrative, successful career in logistics, well, I'm here to tell you you're wrong because if you work this long and that hard, the fruits of your labor will pay off and you can get new shoes just like this right here. My shoes are better than Maryland's because I've got the UNT on the back of mine. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. But welcome. Glad you're all here. If any of you are tired, just put your head down and you can sleep through it. I know you'll still get your points for being here. So anyway, could you move the slides for us? I was just going to introduce myself real quickly. As Brian alluded to, I am the CFO, President of Technical Transportation. We are a classified legally as a freight forwarder. We've been and we will be in existence 35 years as of October 30th of this month. There's yeah, not a bad accomplishment and sticking it out for that whole time. Uh, we started in Grapevine and we moved three times uh, over to South Lake, back over to Grapevine, and then we're back in South Lake now. Um, a little background on myself. I grew up in Northeastern Ohio, uh, attended Kent State University. I got my degree, a Bachelor of Arts in Industrial Technology. Back in my day, they didn't have supply chain logistics. Matter of fact, they didn't even come up with that term until much later on. It was called transportation, warehousing, and manufacturing and distribution. That's kind of what the industry called for, but industrial technology had nothing to do with logistics. But I figured that out after a few years in the professional life. Um, Graduated in 1979. Little trivia: when I played football at Kent State, Nick Saban was my linebacker coach when I played up there. So it started a long time ago before he was even famous. And that's why you see all the gray hair. Uh, First job out of college, I ended up being a production planner. I didn't realize that that was part of the supply chain, but responsible for ordering parts for the big ships for the controllers and systems that ran ships. Did that for a year and segued into my career in the healthcare industry with Abbott Laboratories. The first job I had was a public warehouse manager, and that entailed taking care of lot numbers for all the products that we warehoused in our finished goods warehouses. Uh, Solutions, pharmaceutical products, uh, consumer goods. For instance, uh, I forget the name. Similac was the baby infant formula, and we had probably over 5,000 SKUs that we warehoused in our main distribution center. And every time you picked and pulled a product, you had to manually tick off on the lot number record card until you saw it going down to a low level. And then you said, I'm going to need to send an order to the warehouse and have them bring another pallet of that stuff down here. And then you have to make sure that they pulled the right pallet with the right lot number, expiration date. And then had five public warehouses: Austin, Houston, San Antonio, uh, what was the other one? Oklahoma City and El Paso. And I got to do that plus audit them twice a year. Made a promotion to office manager of the distribution center after that. And then I embarked on a career with a drug wholesaler for about 6 months while my wife was pregnant, and I was in Slidell, Louisiana, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Rockford, Illinois, all the fine spots of the world. And she delivered our first baby. I realized the road wasn't for me. I begged and pleaded for a job back with Abbott Laboratories. They took me in the diagnostic division. And from there, I started warehouse manager, field service, manufacturing, replenishment, and then finally just worldwide distribution manager for the diagnostic division of Abbott Laboratories, which is kind of where I learned a lot of my trade and what we do at TechTrans. I was fortunate enough to work with the gentleman at the Abbott Laboratories that he and I got along real well. He and another gentleman started TechTrans, and they asked me to come over and run the company in 1997. And the reason they asked me to join is because they knew that I knew about transportation, distribution, and warehousing. But more importantly, before I left Abbott Laboratories, I was responsible for the materials organization in getting certified for ISO, International Standards Organization. And that's kind of the theme of our presentation today with our special guest that I brought with me. So I didn't want to steal any of her thunder, but I'll let her, um, get into that a little bit later. But Virginia is one of your own. She achieved her master's degree right here at UNT in supply chain logistics from the School of Business. Very proud of her and her efforts. She's been on a comet-like rise in our organization. We hired her as a carrier specialist, and she segued into that to the quality specialist, and now she is quality manager in 3 short years. It, almost four, not quite. She's already bought one house and is selling it and is building a new house. So I can tell you she's doing okay right now. She'll tell you a little bit more about success in the logistics arena. Wasn't her forte quality, but seized the opportunity and ran with it. Um, in addition, and I'll let her get on with her portion later on, but in addition, uh, this is probably my fourth or fifth lecture that I've given. I've kept the same theme about careers in logistics and supply chain, and then a little background on our organization so you kind of understand what we do and how we fit into the big world. But in addition to that, I do guest teaching for a few of the professors here on the university. I participate in the PLP program. So I've been mentoring students as well in supply chain. Well, that's who they matched me up with. They didn't put me with anybody from music or anything like that. But anyway, I've been doing that with Jose Grimaldo for the last 2 years. I'm a member of the supply chain logistics board, and that's how I got these wonderful tennis shoes. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And then back in the corner, where is she? My beautiful wife. Where are you? Did she leave me already? Oh, there she is, way in the back. So I can't tell you any lies because she'll call me out later on. Okay, I'm just going to ramble here, so you might not be able to keep up with me, but that's okay. As I mentioned earlier, technical transportation, it's our legal name. We call ourselves Tech Trans, and that's kind of our name brand. So you see us up here on campus. We'll do career days. We'll do recruiting and other things like that. But we are classified as a freight forwarder. So that's our legal term. But a classic freight forwarder, I would say, no, we're not. What we do is we specialize in the medical industry, in particular, the high end, high value type product. diagnostic instruments, ergo my background with Abbott Laboratories, um, uh, ultrasound machines is probably our highest moving instrument, mammography machines, microscopes, eye lasers, cash automation machines, because of the logistics that we use for the medical industry is similar to what we would do for cash automation machines. So you think, okay, so they're a freight forwarder. Freight forwarder doesn't own any assets. We don't own any trucks. We don't own any drivers. We do lease buildings for our customer service group because we are very customer service oriented, operationally, and very quality oriented. Probably our, and I tell this to my folks all the time, our most valuable assets that we own are our employees and the server room. We know that's the lifeblood. But because we don't own trucks and drivers, it creates a situation that number one, we can remain flexible, and B, number two, we don't take on a lot of the liabilities and cost of having fixed assets. What we've done and built over the period of 35 years is built a network of carriers in strategic locations. So basically, we can cover any spot in the United States, Canada, Hawaii, parts of Puerto Rico, and Guam. We got Guam going too. I wasn't aware of that. I have to plead the fifth. But we partner with these carriers in these strategic locations, and they agree to do services for us. Now, at a very minimum, the requirements that we have of these carriers are that they have a facility, security, a testing for employees for drug testing, background check for criminal record, etc. They have to own equipment that can handle sensitive type of medical instruments. So air ride equipment, lift gates, multiple men that assist in deliveries. So you say, okay, well, how do you sell to your customers that you can do this job because you don't really control the asset end of it? And said, well, okay, what we do is we develop processes with you, customer, and we're able to define requirements for each specific product or instrument type that we handle. Say, for instance, an ultrasound machine from a finished goods standpoint has a different process than we would do for a demo asset program. And we do both of those. So a simple finished good delivery would be, okay, we book a carrier to come pick it up from our dock or from one of our strategic locations. Go ahead. We've created our own master service agreement, and Virginia could actually elaborate a little bit further on that. But we have a tier of what we call preferred carriers and non-preferred carriers. So preferred carriers agree to sign our master service agreements, complete with the structured rates, territories, regions, etc. It depends. We do it 3 to 5 years is our preferred, but we will also review that annually and renew accordingly. And we actually trace their performance and tracking that. So if they don't live up to our performances, they are no longer in our carrier base as well. So anyway, we arrange for a pickup of the instrument, the line haul from origin city to destination city, and then a carrier, as I've described earlier, to make the final delivery. So at the very least, 2 men unpack, debris removal, set up in the place room wherever it's going for the customer. In some cases, we do some simple configuration to fire it up and make sure it's in a ready to go state. Remove the debris and go back to the warehouse with the debris. Demo assets are different. We have to keep track of the ultrasound system itself, and then we have what you would classify as onboard items, different probes for different tests, a myriad of different accessorials, uh, anything from gel that you would rub on a pregnant woman to do an ultrasound of the fetus, to wipes, you name it. But there's a multitude of these type of products that go out with the finished goods. We have to inventory it on the way out and inventory it when we pick it up. Yes. Are you talking about the finished goods or the demo assets? Okay. She asked the question, are we leasing that, or are we owning it and then charging back? Basically, we don't own any of the instruments. Our customers, and our customers are Abbott Laboratories, Siemens Medical, Carl Zeiss. They own those assets and they put us in care of it. So from a financial liability, asset liability, they own that. We own the processes and we own the financial liability of if something happens to product from the time it's in our four walls to the time it's delivered. And then if something happens, then we're liable for claim processing. Yeah. Jared? Yeah. Well, I will tell you, we have some ultrasounds that have basically the same technology that we've been handling for almost the last 20, 25 years, but they keep on doing new configurations, new add-ons, so they make them a little bit more like cutting edge. I will tell you, when I first started on some of those, it was a 32 slice view cut on it that went to 64 to 132, and I don't know where they're at right now. I've been that far removed from updating on the instruments. I just can't keep up with all of it. But a lot of it is cutting edge, in particular with the eye lasers and the microscopes. So anyway, we have to keep track of the inventory for them. We have to report on it. If there's any shortages out in the field, we can notify them right away. In a lot of cases, I will tell you from an ROI standpoint, uh, I know two customers that we had in particular that when we started the program with them, they had over $25 million in demo inventory assets. And because of our speed of ground network and the fact that we had strategic stocking hubs and the ability to track utilization of the instruments, we were able to reduce their demo inventory assets from 25 million to the first year down to 14 million, and then down to the 8 million in a period of less than 3 years. So the ROI on that for the company that we were our customers was tremendous. So we build relationships with carriers. We we share the processes with them. They have to get certified in a lot of cases to handle the product. We measure their performance, our performance levels. I'll let Virginia get into it, but and how we go through the process of reporting, and then when they have errors, we have a quality system to track and trace and do all that. But I don't want to steal her thunder. Uh, but anyway, we do that. Probably 70% of our revenue is generated from the medical equipment manufacturers. I talked about cash automation machines earlier. Deliveries to Home Depots, Lowe's, 7-Elevens, Kroger's, you go in their store, you walk by it a lot of times, you'll see those big machines and they make change while some of the registers will hold cash and the store will put cash in there and it automatically gets credited to their account. And then somebody comes by 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever rotation they're on, and they'll empty those machines. But the retailer gets to have that immediate deposit into their account. So the speed of putting these things in and getting them done after hours when there's not customers, drilling holes into concrete to bolt the machines down so they're not highly theft. There's not that much theft involved with it because unless you're going to run a pickup truck in it, which you've seen on the news before. But so we apply the same logistics, but we keep adding value added services to it for our customers so that it makes it harder for them to migrate away from us and try somebody else. That's kind of our marketing ploy. I'm gonna let Virginia talk into this. If you'll get into the career logistics part of it a little bit for me, um, I've covered most of this. No, yep, keep going. So these are our organizational roles. We have general administration, which would include myself and Virginia. Um, all of our accounting department, accounts receivable, accounts payable. So you imagine that's just one arm of the supply chain, but it's kind of unique to every business, not just supply chain. But we have the same needs that most do. Um, we don't generate profits because we don't generate revenue. We are the overhead that operations doesn't like because we cut into their net profits and their incentive sharing. But we're necessary because we do things like this. We recruit good students from UNT and do presentations. Operations is our lifeblood. That's customer service. They are the ones that develop the processes along with sales and um, the customer to ensure that we have uh, firm pat processes that meet the criteria of the customer and their customers and good. So we have probably about 60 or so customer service um, agents in our employment. We apply a program where we have a dedicated person and or team dedicated specifically to a customer. And that's so when the customer calls in and has some issue or a problem or a change or whatever the case may be, they're talking to the same person who understands their product, who understands their processes, and they're able to effectively assist the customer through any issues that they have. Um, we have information technologies. I don't know if any of you guys were here at the last lecture, but I brought in Nathan Deely with me. He was a recent hire from Baylor, and we actually hired him to be our replacement for our IT manager whenever he gets promoted up. But he's implementing a lot of AI. Programming and techniques to support our right routing system that runs our system. Um, Different programming language than what we originally started with. So he's kind of responsible for that migration over. Um, Wonderful field in supply chain. We don't nearly do what some big companies do with IT. With material handling equipment and moving, products around a huge distribution center, but it requires a lot of effort. Of course, we have warehousing within the four walls, distribution within the four walls, and then we have quality management, and that's the area that I'm going to segue over to you on. So it's yours.
done everything. Yeah. We'll skip around. I got the clicker, so I got it. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Okay, we're going to go through these ones pretty quick. These are just a little bit more in depth of everything that Lynn just explained. So, your general administration, like Lynn said, that's going to be usually your top management, more executive level. So, qualities for this type of role are going to be hardworking, detail oriented, process driven, and strategic thinkers. So, like I said, these people are typically at the top. Next, maybe. There we go. So what is this one? Operations. So like Lynn said, we have most at our company, the most people are in the operations department. So for us, this overlaps with customer service. So at TechTrans and just in general, the general purpose of operations management is handling strategic issues, enhancing operational efficiency, balance costs with revenue, and generate high net profits. So like it says up here, an operations manager ensures the business implements proper practices and processes across all organizational levels. So these for us at TechTrans, our operations team, like Lynn mentioned, are the people that are interacting directly with our customers. So for us, this looks like the people who are receiving an order from those medical device manufacturers, and they're actually routing out the transportation for those devices. Thank you. Okay, again, this overlaps a little bit, but for us, like I said, customer service operations go hand in hand. But for customer service, the traits we have up here would be empathy, patience, problem solving, time management, product and service knowledge, which I'd say arguably is the most important. Kind of like if you call in to probably anything you own, if you have an issue with it, you call the manufacturer, you want them to be able to know what the problem is that you're having. You probably aren't looking or interested in talking to the robotic voice that answers your call. So we try to curb that a little bit, like Lynn said, and have a real person that's answering your call, answering your email, and or answering your text, which talk about what that looks like for us in a little bit. Other qualities on here, active listening, positive attitude. So those are super important in customer service. Oh, wrong way. There you go. Sales. Um, I think you guys all know sales, pretty self-explanatory, but they're working to identify potential customers, develop sales strategies, close deals, manage customer relationships, which I'd say TechTrans, that's probably one of their most important roles. For us, sales team, they handle their customers all the way through the duration of the contract. So that's a little bit unique for us where our company is smaller, like Lynn said. So we get to have those salespeople, just like our customer service reps, interact with that customer for the duration of the time that they are with TechTrans. So that could be a year, but it also could be 25 or 30 years, like most of our customer base. I keep turning the wrong way. There we go. Okay. I know. Okay. Next one is information technology. So I think we cover this one fairly well, but typically, like Lynn mentioned, a big uh, pro and thing that you need if you're working in IT is a degree. Most IT jobs you do need a degree for. I'm not sure if any of you guys are IT at all related, but you do have to have the ability to think strategically and have experience with various information management programs. So in transportation, super important because there's lots of different things that go into um, an IT department. So for us, we build everything proprietary in-house, and that's everything from our quality system to our accounting system to the transportation management system we use and our inventory system. That's all developed, managed by our team in-house. So they have to have knowledge on all those different systems, what they're for, how they impact our customers, and they're been pretty good at it. Next one, warehouse management. So this one, for us, like Lynn said, we are non-asset based, but we do have small warehouses at both of our locations. I don't think we mentioned this. We have a South Lake, but we also have a small satellite office in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So um, just happens to be out there, but we have two warehouses, so one at each place, and we do all of these things there. So inventory management, safety, meeting deadlines, maintaining customer products, problem solving, budget, organization, and then shipping and receiving. One thing that's unique for us with medical devices, so a little bit earlier we went over the process for some of our different types of equipment. A big thing for us is the demo equipment. So what that can look like Lynn alluded to a little bit, is whenever something is coming in and out, it goes through a very rigorous check-in and or check-out process. So that's part of what I work with our teams on is in quality. That's part of the thing that we work directly with our customers. So a lot of them are regulated by the government, meaning that they have very strict rules on what is or is not allowed to be transported with their devices, the way they transport it, the way that it is strapped into a truck, how it's packed, all of that stuff is very, very important. So we actually have customized checklists for each type of device and each configuration on how it's supposed to be packed, all of the steps that you have to do in order to get it ready to go. And we have to keep all of that on file within our system as well. Next thing we have is distribution. So kind of goes hand in hand with the last one, but this plays an important role in ensuring customer satisfaction, achieving profit for a business entity, maintaining a consistent flow in the supply chain, adapting a proper distribution protocol, and enabling the change in ownership of a product. So for us, we typically have three legs of transportation that we're coordinating. So we're going to have a pickup, a line haul, which is going to be most of the time transporting something across the country. And then we have a delivery. So we work with distribution teams, transportation teams to handle all of that for us, but we have to be in control of that. And it may sound kind of weird because, like Lynn said, we are not asset based, but we are constantly in contact with all of those different people that are physically handling the goods in order to give updates as close to real time as we can to the end customer. Maybe. There we go. Okay, last one. Now we'll get into my slides. So, quality management. I'm just going to read this to you guys because it's important, I think, and it's something that, like Lynn mentioned earlier, is something I didn't get a lot of experience in prior to working at Tech Trans. It's something that you learn. For me, I learned kind of on the job, but it pops up everywhere. It's everywhere you look, and everything that that's in front of you, devices, pretty much anything that has to get manufactured has to do with quality. So quality management is the process of managing all activities, personnel, and work tasks that are needed to achieve and maintain a certain level of quality and excellence. It encompasses all aspects of the organization, including creating quality-based policies, developing and quality planning measures, conducting quality control, and constantly striving for quality improvement overall. So three different ways you can define quality management are through quality control, which is to maintain and fulfill quality requirements by setting a product or service against benchmarks to eliminate errors. Quality assurance focuses on preventing defects and providing assurance that the required standard will be achieved. And total quality management is when you're continually improving on a business's processes and systems for customers, employees, and suppliers. Yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead. That's a great question. I'm actually gonna go to the next slide and I'll answer that for you. Okay, I feel like my slide title, delivering quality up here. So for Tech Trans, because we do not manufacture, quality looks very different for us than it would look like in an assembly line. So if you think about your laptop sitting in front of you or your phone, how that might get manufactured, there's quality checks all throughout that process. So like I mentioned, for us, it is very, very different. Um, and we'll talk about that on the next one, but the benefits of a quality system and what that looks like for any company who adopts it. So, the adoption of a quality management system is a strategic decision for an organization that can help improve overall performance and provide a sound basis for sustainable development initiatives. So, there's four things that and this isn't all of them, just four main things that are potential benefits of adopting a quality management system. So this is consistency, the ability to consistently provide products and services that meet customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements, customer satisfaction, facilitating opportunities to enhance customer satisfaction driven by trust in processes, continuous improvement, identifying and addressing risks and opportunities, and then credibility. So this one is your ability to demonstrate conformity to specified quality management system requirements with regular audits and reviews. So in most quality management systems, you're going to go through this PDCA cycle, which is plan, do, check, and act. So you're going to make a plan, you're going to do it, you're going to check it, and then you're going to act on it. So that's kind of the foundation. And to get back to your question, so yes, Six Sigma and other standards apply for tech trends. We utilize ISO or ISO 9001, which is a globally recognized standard for quality management. It helps organizations of all sizes and sectors to improve their performance, meet customer expectations, and demonstrate their commitment to quality. So with ISO 9001, this is the I like to say base standard. It kind of depending on the industry you go into, it varies. So ISO 9001 crosses over into other industry specific standards, which are at the bottom here, which is some examples. There's one for environmental management systems, one specific to occupational health and safety, and one specific to security and resilience management systems. Those are the most common, I would say, in supply chain. There's also one that a lot of our customers use for specific to medical devices. So there's 7 quality management principles that are listed in ISO. So those are going to be customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence-based decision making, and relationship management. So like I said, this is for all types of companies. Doesn't matter what you do, you can apply this standard to anything. Most of you guys probably will never open the standard and read it. But if you do, it's very, very vague. And like I said, applies to everything. So you kind of take the framework from ISO 9001 and tailor it to how it best fits your company. So for tech trans, what that looks like is up on the right side here. So our ISO certification is for the coordination of logistics and support services for medical device manufacturers and other manufacturers. So we actually recently got our certification, and that was a big thing we had to work on with our accreditation body, was picking a scope that was um, relevant to tech trans and that covered our core, business that we provide, our services. So that's what an actual certificate looks like. So if you ever see those around, that's what they're for. Okay. So with quality, that kind of overarching applies to everything, but some of the things which Lynn talked about a little bit earlier, we provide a lot of value added services. So you guys can read what's up here, but for tech trans, what that looks like is in these pictures. So like I said earlier, one of the things that we have recently started doing, I guess probably in the last 5 years, top picture, is live chat. So we're actually able now, we're working on also developing this in an app that we own, but we do use a third-party app for this right now. But it is a application that allows us to basically live chat or text rather with our service providers. So whenever we are actually making a delivery of a piece of medical equipment, say we're doing a cash recycler installation, takes minimum 4 hours, minimum 4 people. So throughout that entire process, like Lynn said, you are drilling and bolting into concrete. You're probably working with um, a rigger at the bank, and you're able to, if you have any questions, you can text in and talk to our live customer service representative, and we're able to get photos throughout the installation processes and answer any type of um, question or issue that comes up right on the spot. So that's one way that we have really improved our quality with our operations team, and given them a direct line of communication back to the actual service that's happening. Like I said, we have to really work hard to make sure we're in communication with our service providers constantly to be able to get that information back to our end customer. Um, the other photos on here, we do some residential delivery, but the picture on the right is actually, I believe, a cash recycler installation. Probably came from one of our training videos, but that's another piece of it is for all really intricate deliveries like that. My team is responsible for helping work with our sales team, work with operations, and usually work with the actual customer's quality team in order to take their like manuals that they make from manufacturing. So we get their instructions for use for a lot of these different types of devices, and we kind of translate them into something that's a little bit easier for our service providers to understand. So the goal with what a lot of my team does is we are making simple instruction guides with photos that go step by step for someone that maybe has never seen or handled a device like this in their lifetime before. They're able to read that over, once or twice, and they're good to go and they can complete the delivery successfully. So we really try to set our teams up for success, and those are just some of the things that we do to add value to the services we provide. The outsource functions we've already talked about a little bit. Some of the other things we outsource besides transportation is our marketing. So if you, I think we'll have a slide on this later, but if you do end up following us on LinkedIn, we do utilize a marketing team that helps us out with that and some of our other promotional things that we do. So that's something that we outsource. And then we also outsource legal. So again, along with transportation, that is our biggest thing that we outsource. And then again, we do have some top jobs in logistics. So for those that are not super interested in um, quality, like I'm talking about, but there are, like Lynn said, lots of other different things that are available. So some of the things that are not things we have at Tech Trans would be your logistics engineer, your data scientist or data analyst, and robotics automation engineers. Um, Everything else I think we talked about. Besides sustainability managers, that's something, especially if you go somewhere that is asset based for transportation, it is super important for a lot of companies to have someone in their team that's dedicated to managing sustainability. There actually is also an ISO standard on that as well. But the whole point is to reduce emissions, minimize waste, and promote sustainable practices. Okay, and then we have some data in here. So these are just from Data USA, some different stats. These are from the most recent year they published is from 2023, which I thought this one was interesting. The total degrees awarded in 2023 was actually down tiny, tiny bit from the year prior. But the average wage this is for supply chain and logistics industries overall, this is all encompassing. So the average rate wage was $109,000 dollars annually. There are 12.2 million people in the workforce, and then the average employee age is 44 years. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. No. Yeah, it is average. Okay, and then we do have some tips for you guys on interviewing. So, do you want to go over this or skip this part? Okay.
But first of all, I wanted to answer your question about Six Sigma, Lean, and Kaizen, things like that. We practice the principles, but our quality system was actually designed in-house, and we designed it specifically to match ISO standards. It's called ESP, Excellent Service Provided. And if we have issues, it's called an EAR, Event Action Report. And she tracks and traces all of the activities from our carriers to our customers to our invoicing for operations, et cetera. And Virginia's done a fantastic job with that. I kind of stole your thunder. I didn't let you talk about yourself and how you started and kept going. I actually would like you to do that just for a second so they understand you, and then we'll leave the rest of the time open for questions.
Okay. I'll be quick. I know you guys probably maybe have questions. Like on one of the early slides stated, I went to school here, sitting in your chairs, not that many years ago. My time and experience was a little bit different because COVID happened. So I started college in 2017. Um, Graduated undergrad in 2021. So no real graduation. I got to watch a video screen from my living room. It was great. But what that meant for me was as soon as I picked my major in logistics, uh, all my classes went online. So I actually did not get to meet anyone and meet professors in person really. Um, However, I had a very good experience and I decided to do the online MBA program the following year. So again, COVID related sort of, but I ended up finishing the program pretty quickly in 1 year, which great program. I did work part time while I was doing that. It's very manageable, I thought, but um, if you're interested in anything like that, I can, talk more to that later. But the way I actually met Tech Trans was at a logistics networking event here on campus. So that was my little tie in there. So I'd say networking events on campus, very important. They can lead you to your career. They just happened to be at the event I went to, talked to them, and ended up interviewing a lot of places, but ultimately picking Tech Trans. It's been a good journey so far. We've had a couple interns from UNT work for us since then. And yeah, that's all I got on that. I did. That was what I did prior to Tech Trans. I worked at U-Haul. It was great. I can hitch your trailer for you. It is. Okay, go ahead. That's a good question. So we have part of our technology suite is we have something called a demo move coordinator, which is proprietary. But what that means is, like Lynn was talking about earlier, we're able to, in our system, we are tracking shipments down to what the actual serial numbers are of the devices that we're moving. So an ultrasound system is a perfect example. We have a program in there where say we have one system in it in a fleet of very many, but the one system is moving 4 times. It's going to 4 different hospitals to get demoed by different doctors. By the end of that time that it comes back to one of our strategic hubs across the country, it's going through a full, cleaning process, sterilization process, all that stuff to get it ready again to go back out on its next circuit of demos. So we're able to track all of that movement and all of the locations that everything goes to all within our system. So we're able to give that data back to our customers, and that's how they're able to determine where they need to reduce or increase inventory. So we are more of a, I would say, like liaison for the data, but the customers are really the ones making those determinations for their products. We just move them. Yeah.
which locations, the more locations, the proximity to the
I know several pieces of medical equipment are primarily.
Hmm.
Do you deal at all with international importation? And if you do, what kind of comms terms?
Yeah, we don't take possession until it clears the free zone, so we don't have to get involved with that. However, we do get involved with pallets, believe it or not. We're a member of SmartWay, and as being a member of SmartWay, we have to comply with all the regulations for that type of, it's more from a packaging standpoint than from a equipment or product standpoint.
For those who don't know, can you explain what SmartWay is?
SmartWay is an organization that keeps track of environmental conditions, and we report statistics back to them on product and emissions. So it's a international organization, but the one we work with is domestic.
Mhm.
Yeah.